Wrestling in England is completely gone.
Probably the worst time ever.
We're going to run a show, the biggest British wrestling show of all time.
That was really the start of when people started to take notice again.
With growing influence, Alex Shane moved to take over the running of the FWA from Mark Sloan. He immediately set about planning the event, which would put the company on the map.
British Uprising I was the point where, after seeing Revival and kind of getting an idea of what British wrestling could be like, I had noticed that there was an audience of people in the UK that liked the ECW alternative product enough that if you booked them and you gave them something different, they would come. I had booked Balls Mahoney, Jerry Lim, and a relative unknown called AJ Styles. The idea was to use that talent to present the best wrestling in the UK.
British Uprising I would take place on Sunday the 13th of October 2002 at the world-famous York Hall in London.
£50 a ticket. People like Mark Sloan, who originally ran the FWA, would have said to Alex, that's ridiculous, no one's going to pay that. But Alex's opinion was that if you have faith in your product and you think it is that good, then if you're only charging a £5, then the message you're sending is, well, it's only worth a £5. So it's not really that good. And he believed there was a hardcore group of wrestling fans at the time who would pay that. And they did, because 900 people turned up to that initial show.
The opening three-way dance, which still to this day holds up, I think, as one of the most ingenious matches in British wrestling. Myself and Dino Scarlo went to a gym with those guys for an entire day and choreographed the whole match. A load of the wrestling purists will go, oh, it was too, whatever. Well, I don't care. Wrestling's a performance.
James now flips over, and oh my God! And they get the three! It is the 3 count!
As long as you can give the people that match where they get to see the moment of, my God, big pop, emotional connection, how we get there is irrelevant.
This contemporary philosophy also included increased risk-taking, far more outlandish than anything previously witnessed in the UK.
Oh, wait a minute! FNWA!
When I saw Jody do that balcony dive, I didn't know about it. I thought he was crazy, but then I know what Jody's like, man, and it didn't surprise me at all that he did it. If you're going to a show at the York Hall, you expect, like, the best. To pack out somewhere like that. With wrestling, I'm sure like the owners of the hall didn't believe it could be done. We went in there and we sold it out, man, and the crowd were absolutely amazing that night.
Johnny Storm, wheelbarrow, DDT, yes, and he hits it!
And took my excitement one stage on from Revival. Even though there was half the number of fans at the York Hall that night, the quality of the matches and the overall show and the atmosphere was 10 times better.
British Uprising I was the greatest demonstration possible of where British wrestling was about to go. It was rough around the edges, but if you watch that show, it was almost like the sleeping giant slowly going and waking up. And you could watch that from any country and go, there's something that's going on here.
Alex said that he just wanted to run a British wrestling promotion that would make people proud to be a British wrestling fan. He just wanted people to sort of have that real passion for it.
The most important thing with Uprising that I always believe is if you look around that audience, a good 50% of the people that would go on to lay the foundations for British wrestling were either in the crowd or they were trainees at ringside.
It really gripped you, made you feel like you were part of something and wanted to be part of something. It made me want to be part of the FWA.
Following the success of British Uprising, the FWA would promote a show which would garner the company more international recognition. Frontiers of Honor, which took place on the 17th of May 2003, featured an inter-promotional tournament between the FWA and the popular US independent promotion Ring of Honor.
I wanted to show the world that British wrestling was as good an indie as the American indies. I thought, well, the way to prove that is to get their guys to wrestle our guys, put the two promotions against each other, and to sweeten the deal, I said, look, I'll pay your company to come over, you guys can win, you guys can keep the footage, but hopefully, when you leave, FWA will look equal. And I think we did.
He's going up, what's he going for here? Oh!
all the top young Americans wanted to work for FWA. They wanted to come over and be part of it as well. And these guys are now major stars.
The Frontiers of Honor show was amazing, and again, that was once more, this is where the wrestling needs to be. This is finally giving a platform that it deserves.
Sickening, sickening, cross-arm, German suplex, 2, 3, it's all over! The Zebra Kid has been beaten by the Ring of Honor champion Samoa Joe.
In terms of the massive jump that fans thought, well, this company's up here and FWA's like way down here, I think if anything we closed the gap. If it wasn't equal, we closed it to about that, and that was a really important thing.
When you are putting on amazing shows and you're setting the bar at a certain level, any kind of dip, the fans are going to be disappointed. You've got to keep achieving time and time and time again.
British Uprising 2 was at the beginning of feeling the tension and the pressure building of what we were trying to do. And I say we, all of us as a roster, we were trying to set the bar higher and higher each time.
Having an apocalypse grudge match where the finishing stunt was somebody going off the top rope, being chokeslammed off the top rope through a burning table. It was the way to top Jody Fleisch moonsaulting off the balcony at British Uprising 1, and Nikita jumped off a balcony at Frontiers of Honor.
Nick, she's on the balcony. Nick. Oh, God!
There was no rules set in stone in the FWA. It was literally, you go out there, you do the best you can every night.
I jumped off balconies.
And look out! Oh, my goodness!
Took backdrops off stages and stupid things on a regular basis.
It looks like he's going for the one-night stand, and he's going for a one-night stand!
Because I felt the need to deliver.
I know Johnny Storm, the grease ball has landed!
You cater to the crowd. I mean, that crowd knew what to expect, you know. They knew pretty much every match will do their best to deliver, or it will be something spectacular and amazing.
Do you need to do it? You know, perhaps not, because ultimately they lost the venue as a result.
It was the Frontier Wrestling Alliance. It crossed the frontier. The wrestling industry was forever changed because of it.
Okay, it was their little brainchild and all that, but it was ECW with an English tint, and I was the first one to put my hands up and go, well, this is not English.
The shows that I promoted were the best wrestling, using British talent, appealing to wrestling fans that lived in Britain. My belief with the evolution of wrestling is that sometimes to force that evolution, you need a revolt, right? A revolution. And that's what we've had to do, some of us, is create this revolution to evolve pro wrestling. And when you revolt against anything, you're always going to have a backlash.
They all have this big thing, like, you know, oh, we've saved British wrestling and this is the British wrestling uprising. And they had their fans, but it didn't stop Brian or Oric still doing their shows, still filling halls.
I just completely disassociated myself with anything outside of my sort of little empire. All of a sudden, there was 4 or 6 guys from Stoke that were desperate to wrestle. Dynamite, Whiplash, Dean Omar. All that Stoke team are one of the best things to happen to me, because my view on the outside world changed, because this Dynamite was capable. He was a good amateur wrestler, and he was a good professional wrestler. Kid Cool was the best babyface this company's most probably ever produced. So all of a sudden I thought, well, yeah, perhaps the stuff I've got is a bit old hat now. This might be the new generation, because there was definitely a new young element that were good performers and definitely give a different sort of show to what I'd been used to, but it was a show that people liked.
This is TWC.
We tried to do something so much bigger.
Without the right pieces connecting it together, it's no good.
Good grief, those matches stand up today.